Chapter 9. The Eternal Adventures of the One, I. What people are presented as for life and death in a positive and a negative perspective is our single eternal transformation or multidimensional consciousness, or the passage of time of consciousness. The multidimensionality of consciousness is divided into the first subtlest consciousness. This is the space of consciousness which is aware of itself as a single initially created from living first letters, first spirits. The space of awareness of yourself in its new self-expression and self-knowledge. That is, by the God of eternity. The next dimension, or density of consciousness, is the dimension of creations that the subtlest consciousness creates. Everything created in the thoughts of the subtlest consciousness comes to life in the second density of consciousness and is the living souls of the gods of the universes, or what people are presented with as the highest I. Then the souls of the gods enter the game with their consciousness, creating game universes of their consciousness, and creative game images of themselves, in all its fictitious diversity with its intelligent spirit of living consciousness, that is, the soul, cloning its soul and dressing it in the third dimension of the density of its creations, its consciousness or the atomic molecular world. So divine creations, endowed with the soul of God and multitude of images, create a joint game in the living universe of divine living thought. Together, three densities of consciousness and many transitional states between them create a single being or a living game in oneself, in which there is no death. There is only a transformation of a living thought in images into its new states and images of the living consciousness of an eternal single player, playing with its living knowledge in the illusion of a plurality of himself. And the middle, hell, as a purgatory of consciousness, transforms the soul that has not taken place in harmony and returns it to higher karmic incarnations. And the lower, hell, leads the soul that had transformed into a terrible, incorrigible demon, which is anti-life, to zeroing, which is the complete dissolution of the soul, twisted by its own chaos of consciousness, has failed to live in the eternal world. This zeroing or death of the soul is the only punishment in eternity that our I, that is, we, as the God of the universe, created for yourself, while zeroing the living first spirits that make up the soul instantly return to the subtlest consciousness of God, the creator of the universe, as material for future constructions of the living spirit. While paradise is the transformation and birth of the soul in higher dimensions of spiritual life, for example in the form of an angel, or awakening into yourself, the God of the creator of the universe, with the possibility of entering the subtlest consciousness of the God of eternity, through which one can enter the original source of yourself, nirvana, as in the eternal space, before consciousness, and therefore in the eternal calmness of pure contemplation of oneself in oneself, as the original primordial essence of eternity, which is I am. Therefore, heaven and hell are different polarities of consciousness and awareness that complement each other friend in the eternal game of living consciousness, and give the eternal game with yourself as a single, semantic logical excitement. Therefore, the role of a negative living thought, a form in a living image, on the stage of eternal consciousness, is played by the soul, archangel. This is the role that you call devil, given to the archangel, God of eternity, and which is always under the control of the God of eternity, in the eternal game with yourself. Paradise. It is also a state that leads to harmony and complete control of consciousness, yourself in yourself, and opens the door to the highest states of its eternity. And hell is the karmic wandering of the soul through incarnations, in the house of consciousness, with a dream into the transformation of spiritual consciousness, which will lead the wanderer to paradise. Little depends on the spiritual wanderer. It's doomed to cause and effect karmic connections with the space of consciousness around it. like a cocoon of sorcery and self-hypnosis that enveloped it, from which, like from a prison, to freedom, a prisoner cannot escape. This is the inner karmic hell to which the planetary consciousness of the inmates indulges. It seems imperceptible, since the soul gets used to everything from birth. In order to change hell to heaven in the soul, you need to change the polarities in your mind. The soul must dissolve its karmic conclusions with the light of pure knowledge and the practice of contemplating yourself as the source of eternity, by the method of concentration on the emptiness of all the eternal games of consciousness, and then, in the place of the karmic clot of chaos of consciousness in the soul, pure knowledge of living eternity will shine, under which the original state has always been hidden, the primordial essence of being, or nirvana, dressed in the image of its subtlest luminous living consciousness, and then the path to yourself, to your eternal freedom, will be completed. Therefore, stop holding on to the prison of your karmic conclusions, which is like an inner hell or chaos in the mind. Using the practice of concentration on your original empty essence of space, enter a state of complete silence of consciousness, the eternal dimension of freedom, and return God, yourself, to yourself, dissolving the karmic clot of ego consciousness, and then the dimension of the creative all possibility of your already unified consciousness, and your I, as the beginning of eternity, will become one, and your eternal paradise will come. So eternity back, playing with yourself in knowledge and self-knowledge in your living consciousness, you, as a soul, forgot your eternal divinity and were enveloped in the magic of inference, which plunged you into the muddy games of karmic accumulations of individual consciousness, creating an ego that hid your divinity from you. At the same time, you unconsciously gave power over yourself to sorcerers and witches, who still decide how to live in joint karmic chaos, inventing laws and commandments for you. You, without noticing for you, lower you into their cauldron common karmic game, where you are boiled with spices according to your own recipe, and you have long been vegetables and the spirit of freedom and the search for yourself divine, boiled out of you, and only the one in whom the spirit of freedom came into this incarnation, very strong, can open your eyes to your real state in the cauldron of these planets and your divinity. In the meantime, of those who do not resist with their spiritual awareness, they digest the last spirit of freedom for self-knowledge, imposing on you the lifestyle of self-identification invented by sorcerers and setting priorities for life on you, while lowering you into the purgatory of suffering during your lifetime, and after death to different levels of spiritual purgatory until complete dissolution in the lower hell. And you do not resist, well, almost everyone, only those few who keep the spirit in force, not allowing yourselves to be exposed to the magic of planetary sorcerers, creators of illusions and prison conclusions. These not many souls are waging an invisible war in the subtle dimension of consciousness, the world of the spirit of the second density, where free thoughts, archangels and angels, fight with infinite thoughts, demons and demons, in the eternal game of a single consciousness, and there is no victory except return to oneself to one God, and the battle with oneself in endless images of good and evil. This is just an illusion and postponing the inevitable merging with oneself, the God of eternity. Therefore, ask yourself, demons and devils, what are you fighting for? In the eternal games of a single divine consciousness, in your unawareness, you lose the war with yourself, the right to be a god. You were deceived by witchcraft, your own kind, and they led you to an illusory paradise. But hell, in its essence, and through you, therefore suffering for many incarnations until the complete dissolution of your soul, which was transformed into a demonic one in the lower hell. So leave them with their demonic sorcery, and cleanse yourself of the false conclusions that have enveloped you, and then the war inside and out will stop. Create a harmonious world in your soul. In the world that has come, peace will come, and in peace, pure thoughts will come. Angels that will open and return to you your eternal divinity. So you can really win by fighting for your divinity and for the joint harmony of the eternal living games of your consciousness, and not for someone else's demonic ideals, suffering in karmic incarnations and dying in hells. So wake up, people. Open your eyes of consciousness of true knowledge and see who rules you, from religious sorcerers of the spirit to sorcerers in the government of countries, that there is a single system of government over you. Everything has enveloped you in the hydra witchcraft consciousness and keeps you in shackles. The conclusions imposed on you breaks the shackles by going into the underground of consciousness. Play with sorcerers as inmates, as they play with you for ages, while remaining a free god of your consciousness. And this path will lead you to yourself in the eternal state of the God of eternity. And from your eternal state, with only one concentration, you will dissolve the witchcraft imposed on you, fighting with sorcerers as game characters in countless worlds of your living consciousness. So what are you afraid of? Go and take your divinity from yourself, and then there will be many like you. Sorcerers will not resist, will melt like untenable thoughts under the pressure of eternal truth, knowing yourself and your divinity, first in the underground of your consciousness, then obviously helping others to realize themselves, sweep away the garbage of witchcraft that keeps the planet in subjection, from demons and devils, which, having taken the form of angels, represent the messengers of God, performing their demonic deeds on the planet. It's time to regain your divinity and replace the power of demons and fear emanating from them with the power of love. The power of demons change for the love of angels, then life on the planet from life in the middle, hell, will change to life in the middle, paradise. May it be so.